Wow, it is Christmas time. And I don't know about you, but I'm excited. I'm excited about celebrating Christmas this year. And it's kind of strange because I'm almost more excited about celebrating Christmas this year than I have been for the past several years. And I think it's really because of the passage that I want for us to sit with this month. And as we move into this month, I want to take us back to something that we read in our Bible reading plan last month. It's found in the book of 1 Peter. And as Peter's writing to this church, they're beginning to experience persecution. And he's talking to them about how to engage that. They're experiencing some really, really difficult things. And listen to what he says. He says this. He says, "Who is going to harm you if you're eager to do good?" And he's talking to them about how he wants them to love those around them, how he wants them to care for those around them, how he wants for them to engage the world around them and do everything that they can to display God's love. And he says, now who's going to want to harm you if you're doing that? But sometimes they might. He says, but even if you suffer for doing what is right, you are blessed. He says, but even if you're suffering for doing what's right, listen, God honors that and God sees that. And he says, even as you walk through this journey, as you're experiencing these different things, I want for you to move through it. I want for you to move through it with unbelievable hope. And then listen to what he says. He says, do not fear what they fear. Do not be frightened. And he calls them to this reality, that we don't have to fear. We don't have to fear what others fear. And we don't have to be frightened in the way that others are frightened. And this doesn't just have to do with the results of the situation. This has to do with our experience of the situation. To understand that as we walk through whatever circumstance we're walking through, that God is working and moving in our lives. We don't have to be afraid that the circumstances of life will rob from us what's most important. We don't have to be afraid of that. We don't have to be frightened in that way. And so he says, I want for you, as you move through this, whatever the circumstances, whatever it is that you're engaging, whether that's coming from people or just the world around you, the tests that you find yourself in the midst of, he says, I want for you to handle yourself differently. Don't be afraid. Don't be frightened in the way that they are. He says, but in your hearts, set apart Christ as Lord. He says, but I want for you to engage this, right? And in your hearts, set apart Christ as Lord. Engage life with Him. Understanding the incredible hope that He brings in every situation, because He's working in your life in every situation. He's engaging you as your Father in every situation. He says, I want for you to set apart Christ as Lord. And then he says this. He says, always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks. So give the reason for the hope that you have. Now, what is he talking about here when he talks about hope? The hope that we have. Well, it's the hope that people see when they see that we're not worried in the same way that they are. It's the hope that we can walk into every situation and circumstance and know that Christ as Lord is working in our lives for what is most important. We have this unbelievable hope that changes the way that we engage every situation and every circumstance. We have this amazing hope, and he says, I want for you to live with this hope. And then as you engage those around you, I want for you to consistently give the reason for why it is that you have that hope. For you to be able to say to those around you that no, I know that no matter what happens, no matter what happens this next month, no matter what happens this next year, no matter what happens, I know that God's working in my life for what matters most. I know that. I don't have to be afraid of circumstances changing and what's next the way that others are. I don't have to. I can move into an uncertain Christmas and be excited about Christmas. I can move into an uncertain Christmas and be excited about Christmas. Why? Because Christ is working as Lord in my life. I know that. And to be honest with you, I'm excited about the opportunity to practice that. I'm excited about the opportunity to practice that. And then to be able to speak this in my conversation with those around me, to speak this into the lives of others, to give an answer for the hope that we have. And then as he continues, he says, "We'll do this with gentleness and respect," and to do it gently and respectfully, but at the same time to be able to say, no. As we talked about months ago, when this whole thing started, we don't have to be conquered by fear the way that others are. I don't have to be afraid of circumstance. And neither do you. And so we can walk into an uncertain Christmas with excitement. And it's my prayer for you this month that will be your experience. It's my prayer for you this month that you will live in the hope that you have. That you will further awaken to that hope. That you will be able to speak that into the lives of those around you, gently and respectfully. And as a result, maybe like never before, God will use this Christmas to expand His family, to make us a little more like Him, to help us to know Him better than we ever have before. It's a pretty amazing hope. I hope that you'll experience it this month.